Recording live from somewhere is the world's famous TITT. His home team in the motherfucking house.
No question. What's good, baby?
Hey, man, you already know, man. It's Davis back. Was it Who State Your Name, gangsta?
Philmatic 365, a.k.a. Notorious is Glorious.
That's right, man.
You know what my man said? He said, you soft, dude. Double entendre.
Sending a shout out to everybody, man. You know, it's that time of year. March Madness is in the air. Sending love and light out to everybody out there that had to deal with power outages and flight delays and all types of craziness going on the East Coast, man. So I'm happy.
Couple down trees.
Yeah. I'm happy you didn't have to encounter that, and our families and whatnot. Everybody seems to be good, so that's always love, man. Of course, recording. Courtesy of the War Room Sports Podcast Network, our brothers out there that always give us the support and love. Devin, Jimmy B. Austin, the Burtons. Salute to Roy Burton, who recently just had a birthday. So always want to spread love that way. And yeah, man, we got a lot of things planned for this spring that we're looking forward to. TissueandTheTape.com is on the way. We've had some pretty good conversations, man. We talked to Kobe Cole on our last episode. Legend. Yeah, definitely the legend, definitely someone that has inspired us to do what we do. And then also, big shout out to 24 Jade.
Yeah, man. She's gonna be like the prodigy, man. We already working on episode 2, old school, new school. So we got a good surprise coming for y'all. We gonna got something dope coming. So yeah, definitely shout out to 24 Jaded, aka Jaded Pinkett Smith,
aka Jade East.
She like that.
By the way, man, we're in a great time where the content is just flowing, so much material that's coming out. But the conversations that we're planning to have over the next couple of weeks, man, we're just excited. We've met and kind of connected with a whole new camp.
Exactly, man.
Phil, let the people know, man, what we're about to get into tonight.
Man, you already know what it is. This is Tissue and the Tape. We are the home of the MC. So it's our job to always talk about quality hip hop music, whether it's somebody with 5 mics and 2 million records sold, or it's somebody that's on their come up, or just somebody just making dope ass hip hop music. Yeah. So I ain't even gonna hold you, man. Without further ado, man, we through our new connects that we've been making. Shout out to B. Austin. We're gonna bring you an MC that first time I ever listened to his music, I was like, yo, and you sometimes you just know. You hear skill and you just know what it is. And to that fine-tuned ear that I like to think I have. So without further ado, we're gonna introduce MC out of the area.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. My man Davis, what's good, baby?
Hey, man. Hey, I appreciate it, man. I just been sitting back watching y'all do y'all thing, man. Your show is a good platform. It's a good support system for artists out here, man. I'm touched because I haven't had anybody publicly respond to my music yet. So to actually be on this platform and to have y'all do that, y'all just broke an artist.
Hey man, real recognize real, man. Man, you make dope music and we gonna talk about it.
That's right.
All day, man. All day.
Now what we normally do is we have a lot of things that we do when we first talk to artists. The first thing that we like to do is just get a feel for who they are. And us growing up as Marvel fans, DC can stay over there, but
not
you DC.
But no knocks to Superman. We understand.
Yeah. we never fool with Superman ever.
Man, you can't say me and your drawers, dog. Put some pants in.
but seriously though, we talk about the origin story, so we like to get that from all of our artists. But before we do that, just because we are getting to know you as well, we have a thing that we do that's called tit for tat, and it's actually a play on word association, and essentially it's a way for us to get to know the artist as well as for our listeners. So since like I said, we are new to your movement, we're gonna start out with just our ultimate hip hop 365. And this is just the one that we use to just get to know everybody. So the rules are basically we give you two choices and you got to pick one.
Okay.
You got to pick one. You know, like I know it's tough and people be like, "Oh man, that's like picking." No. You got to pick one.
No ties.
No ties. That's it.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna start. We'll just give you the light version. You know, we won't go too crazy on you, but let's see if you're ready. All right, so first question is Big or Pac?
Pac.
Okay. Phil, you know the producer one, Preem or
P Rock?
P Rock.
Okay.
All right, this is to see where you are as far as you know, kind of eclectic hip hop and whatnot. Phil, so if I say Midnight Marauders, Phil, what do you say?
Low in Theory.
I'm gonna go with Midnight Marauders.
Okay.
All right, so that's those are like the three that all right, so we kind of get a feel for who you are already. You said Pac, you said Pete Rock, and you said
Midnight Marauders.
Okay, all right. So we kind of okay. All right, we see who. All right, so moving along. This is a little bit different. We'll throw some different gems at you. All right, Phil. So Jordan 3s or
because my man phone posits.
Ooh, phone pauses.
All right. As far as hoops, if you had to pick, Phil, I'm saying Magic. Who do you say?
I'm saying LeBron.
I'm gonna go with LeBron.
Okay. As far as meals go, favorite type of meal, Phil, I'm saying breakfast. What do you say?
I'm saying dinner.
Bye. We going back to breakfast, man.
All right. Back to sports. College football, Phil, what do you say in response to
that? The U, baby.
But no, college football, college basketball.
College football.
Okay. What's more embarrassing, a stiff arm or an ankle breaking crossover?
A stiff arm.
Facts.
Yeah. Getting mushed in the face.
You
can always say you slip, but you can't take that hand back.
Yeah, it's nothing you can do with that. Meet me outside. All right, Phil, I'm saying Chappelle. Who you got?
Chris Rock.
Oh, Chris Rock.
Okay. All right. Years in hip hop as we go to the end. Phil, I got 1993. What do you say?
I'm saying 1995.
I'm gonna go with 95.
Okay. All right, Phil. I got Rakim. Who do you say?
Kane.
Oh no, we got Rakim, man.
Okay.
No question.
All right. When it comes to posse cuts, the symphony or Phil, what's the posse cut for you?
Scenario.
Scenario.
All right. When we're thinking about secondary cities, so obviously like New York and LA are huge, but we're talking about like the supporting cast to New York and LA. So Queens or Compton?
Queens.
I like that. I like that.
Okay. It's some personal ties to that one.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
We'll get into that.
All right, and then of course, last one. Phil, I'm saying take over. What's the one that goes with that?
Ether.
You said that kind of quick, man.
Yeah, I've been going through a lot of these different battles since this whole beef era. So I said, let me freshen up on all.
You didn't even have to think about that. You said that kind of quick, man.
Yeah. I mean, look, I respect everybody's standpoint, but I had to give it to Ether in that one. Only because it was like the last shot back. It was
all right, so elaborate on that. So as an MC, someone that respects, pen, mic presence, lyrics, subject matter, style. What about Ether places that above Takeover for you?
Okay. I mean, it's simple to me. Takeover was pretty much set up by a supporting cast that had a great run. When you talk about who the supporting cast was with The Rock, when you talk about Nas, you talking about Nas just came off of a Firm Biz run. He's not really dealing with a Foxy. He's not dealing with AZ per se in public. They might still rap and do what they do, but that was one man taking on an army. That's how I looked at that. Like, no question, heart alone, and to be able to even have that much kind of steam, that's a goal. That's a goal that the individual can set and look at and say, okay, he took on a whole corporation and survived. That's a win. You know what I'm saying? Hands down. And Nas, classic. You go back and you can listen to all his classic rhymes. You can hear the growth. Oh. You can hear the back and forth. He held his own.
I'll be the first to tell you that I think Nas is the better MC and the better artist over Jay-Z. But for that particular segment, I think Takeover is an actual better song than Ether. Like production wise, like the things that Jay was saying on there were things that like Nas was just basically playing the dozens. He was like, your lips is big, you know.
But then you got to remember too, there's a lot of guys that didn't know anything about the personal beef. So if I'm down here in the DC metro area, that's not even the first thing that's coming on the radio some days unless it's commercialized. So it's like, hey, everybody, this is the new hot stuff coming out of New York. This is when this music was dropping. So
true.
If you didn't make your point on wax to us as listeners, we didn't, you that was the anchor. That was how you got your listeners, was by dropping bar after bar after bar after bar. You could have really been getting into some personal stuff about it, a guy. But if we look at what this rap game was really established about, you shouldn't have nobody ready to shoot your ass after you drop a couple bars.
No, that's a fact.
We just want to hurt somebody's feelings and let them know, like, I can talk nasty as you. Right. And that's what he proved. He's proven that every single time you put him in a booth or on a song that he can talk just as nasty as anybody else and just as raunchy. But guess what? That might not be his preferred choice or his preferred style. He might be one of those guys that makes it cool to be a little bit classy when you hit the stage. And I'm all for that because they got trap out here and they got old school hip hop and they got opera hip hop and horror hip hop now. So if we don't make room for these other genres, we in trouble.
Yo, man, everything is hip hop, man. That's the model that we've been running with for the last year or so. But no, like you make a great case for Ether.
One of the other things that you said that was definitive, though. I mean, you didn't even blink when I said Bigger Pac. You didn't even. Is Pac your favorite? I mean, is Pac your favorite?
Once Pac died and you started to hear the release of all of his catalogs, that solidified it. That man lived in the studio. He was a born artist and was turning nothing into something. Because if you've ever had experience with working with guys who aren't really as talented as you and they don't ride the beat as well as you do, but you can alter your style to compensate for their shortcomings and still come up with a finished product. Once again, we talking about qualities of real MCs and people who actually can control the things around them by using their vocals. That was a Pac all day. I mean, I never really got a chance to experience that much of Biggie's career and life to say that he made that same kind of impact. But Pac, man, Machiavelli 1 through 10. we don't even have to go back to his previous catalog. We go to the after death. He had a whole testament of career work that really solidified why he was an artist, man, and why he was one of the best artists that ever lived. Like, to just look back on the whole thing. Oh, and the other thing, man, happy birthday to that dude, you know what I'm saying, Biggie Smalls, because that was definitely like 7 minutes ago. A little late, but that was on me.
Well, technically, that was the day he got. That was the day he died.
Well, yeah, we'll celebrate the day that we celebrate that day as big.
Yeah. Nah, I feel you though. Like, I I hate to get into the Big and Pac thing only because I know what Pac means to so many people for so many different reasons, even bigger than rap.
Yeah.
And that's something that you really can't quantify. You know, like you can't put a like you could go, all right, you could talk about music or whatever, but the impact that he made on people,
yeah,
and the impression that he made on people, like I know dudes that got outlaw tattoos. That ain't seen nowhere. They never even been nowhere Pac ever been. They ain't been nowhere. They ain't outlawed nothing, but they got outlaw tattoos. You know, so I mean, it's just one of them things. Like so, it musically, I mean, you see my shirt. Um, I'm a big dude. That's this not March Knight. I wear these all the time. So I'm a big dude, but I am a fan of Tupac as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, you got, like you said.
I mean, because he's a phenomenal artist and made great music.
The impact alone, I mean, you see,
and the fact that you could go back and see them in the same pictures together should tell you. Like I said, if you've been coming up in the music game before, you going to see guys and they're going to be different, but y'all all got the same goal. Y'all probably all got the same skill level. You just in different lanes, man.
Yeah, and in my mind, I think they would have got back together. I think they would have been cool again. I think.
I don't doubt it. I think people knew that.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Watch it on USA.
Right.
Yeah. And on every other channel, it's like 10 different documentaries and reenactments and
it's crazy.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna make sure USA get y'all checked out for that one.
No doubt.
All right, so we get to know you a little bit. We see where you're coming from, different angles. Now we actually just want to hear it from you in terms of your origin story. It's pretty unique in terms of kind of how you started and how we got to this point to where you're talking to us now, man. So just let the people know, like how did you start getting into it, and what led you to the point where you are right now?
Oh man, I probably had to say it started about a year after I graduated from high school. It might have been earlier than that. I've always been a reader and a writer, interested in like the literature arts. I've always been, good with a pen and a pad when it comes to drawing and different things. I took IB art classes at Suitland and then graduated, went to Savannah State for about a year and a half, came back home. Baseball dreams wasn't working out. So I was like, okay, I'll try to go back to work and be an artist now.
Yeah.
So when I came home, I got with some guys that were into the vocal arts and doing a lot of like poetry and writing. And this was when the hip hop boom really started to hit in PG County. So everybody wanted to go and get a studio or book studio time when they found out how much it costs. Now we looking for a guy that got a studio in his basement. He's like, hey, don't worry about those prices. You come over there, we record you. So
now what year, what time frame are we talking about?
This is about 2001 to about 2004, 2005.
Okay.
Like, that was definitely like my introduction to seeing people who actually were going and recording songs and making things happen. And then I had a brother-in-law. He was out at UMBC at the time, and he was, I guess, my sister's boyfriend. This was before they got married. And he was doing a lot of things with the music from an independent standpoint out on UMBC's campus. A lot of the Baltimore colleges were connected into that. They stayed off campus. So as her relationship with him grew, I started to hang out and mingle with these guys. So they called themselves, it was the Trifle Disciples. It was a crazy name. It was just, animals when it came to the art. They were savages when it came down to how they slept and ate and everything. It was like, if you wanted to be an artist, just hang with these dudes for one weekend. If you could survive a weekend, you can make it anywhere. So I'm getting a dose of them on the weekends from hanging out with my sister. I'm working my little job during the week, hanging out with some of the guys in the neighborhood. A lot of them are still in the industry today. I got a buddy named Chris Woodard. He went by the name of V6. I had a buddy named DTS, Dwayne, and another guy named Diploma Jackson. And these guys formed a group called Deuce 4. So Deuce 4 was in Amber Woods, which is located around Forest Creek off of Walters Lane. So they had this little studio set up in there for a while. And if you wanted to come by and record, they definitely had their doors open. Wasn't the best mixes, but it definitely gave you the opportunity to see what your vocals would sound like once it was recorded. So, I mean, that was like, I could say that was my true introduction to recording and really finding out like I had a passion for it at that age where you can really start to make moves on your own, start to fund your own operations. You go out here. We got so developed to the point where we were burning our own CDs, going out and stomping them with the actual device that you stomp and put your labels on, you know, packaging them up, doing them a mail order list. You pay through the mail, we mail it back to you. You order it right there on the spot, we'll mail it to you, or we hand deliver it to your house. We had stacks of these CDs and DVDs at the shows for promotions and stuff. We always
y'all were the label at this point, basically.
Yeah, we I mean, basically independently ran label with no promo. So I mean, it was experience though, and it definitely it makes you wiser out here because you know what you can do on your own without having to outsource or facilitate somebody else's needs of paying their bills because they want to hold some information hostage that should be open to everybody. If you don't want to put the work in, yeah, you should have the choice to outsource the work. But if you want to do the work yourself, you shouldn't be prevented from getting that information and doing it yourself. So I made sure I hung around a lot of guys who didn't have that mentality about, oh, nah, I don't want to, because no, we can't. If we can't and we not, is not getting anything done. And you'll see 10 years later when you making moves, we're on a podcast right now. I don't know where those guys are. Right. That was 10 years ago. I wish them well. I hope they're doing well, but this is it's just a progress. It's a continuation of making moves and taking L's, taking losses, and learning something from the situation. Right. Every loss is a lesson learned. So
and every L isn't a loss. It could be a lesson. It could be a life-changing moment. It could be all different types of things. But people are so concerned a lot of times with the visuals and the optics of things. So if it looks like I'm not working, or if it looks like I'm not doing your definition of what you consider to be success, then obviously I don't have nothing going on. And that wasn't the case in your situation, where it sounds like you were building things over time.
Yeah, definitely. Like you couldn't get the whole package overnight. It was impossible. If that was your dream or your goal, man, like I said, you quit years ago. So like that's how I built my home studio, was basically when Brown Monkey Music decided that they wanted to part ways. I decided that I was going to take my investment and continue to grow that investment. So I got to take the studio equipment back to my house.
So now talk about Brown Monkey a little bit.
Okay, Brown Monkey Music was it was a long story. I'm gonna definitely introduce these guys to you.
Okay.
It's a guy, matter of fact, he was just on the radio not too long ago, Travis Lucas. He definitely could tell you a whole lot more about what was going on, because these guys were like a couple years ahead of me, a whole nother generation. I was like the youngest out of everybody learning what was going on. Okay. But Brown Monkey Music, long story short, that was my brother's distribution label. And he went distribution because everybody else was starting record labels.
Right.
Classified your business under a different heading. It allowed you to do different things at the end of the year when it came to tidying up all your tax work. It just was a better situation for what we were doing.
I like that, tidying up.
Hey, politically correct. I'm not playing.
I like that.
So, that's when I first got an opportunity to see the depth of the paperwork, because now we could get sponsorship from the DC government when they had grants, opportunities, and budgets and things for arts programs. We had an official name. You had official licensing, and you had platforms where you could literally go to these people's meetings, publicly display your brand and tell them what you do, and they'll push you right in the right department with the right people to make sure you get a piece of the action. Whether you're a vendor, whether you were artist, whether you were a DJ or anybody, they had a spot for you if you were just present and you had the right credentials. So I learned a lot from working with them. We did a lot of events down at Artscape in Baltimore. Did Automatic in DC for about 3 years straight. And about the second or third year, we actually had a whole stage in the floor area where we were working and promoting and bringing other artists in and scheduling their performances for the week. So, I mean, you get an opportunity to do favors for other people. They do favors for you. You can take that and build with it. And that's what Brown Monkey Music was. It was a artist hub on a Ning site where we were about getting work done. So pass the work on. If we got musicians this week, then you got a band. If you got a stage and we need some slots for a show, then we got a show. And we've done work with people like Misery Loves Company, traveling up and down the East Coast to Connecticut to deal with the Ant Farm affiliate. So I don't know who these names are and who these guys are at this time because it's been so much time, but I know that during the time we went to Connecticut, we were on a block where there was only one club open, and it was the Hip Hop Club. And it was in Danbury. So they were like the organic movement for Connecticut in Danbury at that time. So we were an organic movement, and all organic movements were working on like an underground network during the years of, I say, about 2003 to about 2008. And then what you saw was a lot of fighting over the talent from the larger groups. Once you get your work close to finishing time, once all of the jobs have been delegated and the work's almost done, and then that's when guys would swoop in and just scoop the talent. And they know that they already got 2, 3, 4 years of good ideas and works because they've already ran your whole stash. Now they know they can put you on the shelf and release you in 2012 and slow leak all your music. And then by the time 2012 hit, all the work that you were doing for the label is now going to get released 3 or 4 years. It's just slowing down the faucet. That's all. If you know the water's running out, do you ration it or do you go look for more water? That's hard work. People don't like to do hard work these days.
No, they don't, not at all.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that we talk about in terms of like how we conduct our business. Like we know that what we're trying to do as far as letting people know that good music exists, good artists exist.
Absolutely.
It's a process, man. You know, we're not going to be able to get to our highest point of being a platform without putting in, you know, the dues and the work that it takes in order to do that, to do the grassroots thing and organically build your fan base to where they know, you know, that you've built that credibility to where when I say, hey,
listen to this,
David's got a drink called Danger Zone. Like, you need to go check this out. There's no hesitation. It's like, yo, Vod said this, Phil said this. It's on good authority already. Let me go ahead and click this real quick.
That's what's up, man.
So, you know, that's why we wanted to, you know, talk to you tonight and just get you know, we want to make sure that, you know, on this podcast here, on this particular episode, that we get to know you, but that we also leave some spots for us to be able to play your music.
Yeah.
So at this particular spot here is where I definitely want to get into Danger Zone.
Absolutely.
Okay. So tell us about it, man. Like, tell us just a little bit about your thought process with it, because like Phil was telling you, you know, pre-show, that was the one that of course we kind of like got the introduction and was like, okay, like it opened our eyes right away. Like, tell us the process about Danger Zone.
All right, my producer, he's named my executive producer right now for the album. I think it's tentatively titled Lifelines. So he had already sent me a package of beats named Phil Henry, SP Methods, at SP Methods on Instagram. Okay. But he dropped me a drive with some beats on it. So I got to working on the beats, but I couldn't get through the first 2 tracks because, like I was explaining earlier, that sometimes the artist has to link with the rhythm of the producer. The producer might have a particular style of rhythm and how he's chopping his samples and laying his samples and whatever the counts are. So once you get his rhythm, you can pretty much line your vocals up and make sure that they're dropping and having the same impact that the beat's having. So he gave me a call and said that his buddy Zach had sent him a beat and he wanted to see what I would do to it. So I said, send it. So he sent one. I started working on that one. I gave him a sample back of what that was sounding like. He sent another one from Zach. That was the beat for Danger Zone. Man, when I heard that thing, that song was written in my head. I don't know what it is, but when you hear beats and you know you have the song in your head, you just get to writing. So it was only like about a verse and a half of a beat, and I just went ahead and did my thing because I'm a cool, laid back, chill, delivery straight kind of guy. And the beat fit the tone for ladies. It fit the tone for a vibe. And I mean, it was that simple. Like once you're feeling the hook, you just go with it. So once I started hearing Danger Zone, that was it.
So the hook was already there when you got it?
When I first got it and I first played it, immediately upon playing it 3 or 4 times, I had already worked out a hook in my head. I mean, I love to work with, the pen and the pad because that allows me to go back and play with it like it's a puzzle later on. And you get different styles of a song just by changing your word placement. And I've worked with a lot of MCs to say, oh, we don't use pen and pad.
You probably should.
I'm not going to speak on it. I mean, to each his own. I'm going to tell you, honestly, I haven't seen it done. But I've been in the booth with a lot of different guys. They got a lot of different styles. The only guys I know that have done that have already had 20 songs that they recorded in the last 10 years memorized.
Talk to them.
It's already memorized on their heart.
Talk to them.
And I can respect that too. If you 80 songs prepared to smash, you that MC.
Right.
If you studied the format, piecing songs together already, the keys and the links and the timing, you could be that genius. But at the end of the day, man, it pays to have a pen and a pad though to play with.
Right.
Everybody ain't that.
See, the thing about it is it was popularized so much in the fact that the greats, the guys that the people that the MCs that guys really, really looked up to that were like the flyest, the most stylish guys, but talking about Big and Jay. And then eventually it got to the point where it was like even the gutter dudes that got respect, Styles, Beans, like the guys that, had the street cred as well. They were like, yo, I don't even write. So it's like, it got out of hand after a while.
A lot of people that say they don't write, they and you could tell when they stop writing. Like you could like some people like, yeah, I used to write, but now it's all in. Yeah, I can tell. Go back to the pen and pad, dog.
But see, the other thing about it, like, and we're just talking about MCing and lyricism, but like Wayne also was a big proponent of that, saying that I don't write, but his method was a little bit different because he was such a studio rat. His was, I'm about to because like you can't be with so clever and witty and be punchline heavy.
Exactly.
Like he's still writing. He's just writing with the engineer. Like he's writing on the track. It's like he's literally stamping the track with his lines.
Mm-hmm.
So that's different than me just sitting there on my L Cool J, like pen in the pad for an hour type joint. You got to hit. I'm working these things out vocally, and that works too.
But that's what I'm like. You just named it. You got to live in the studio.
Right.
You got to know that secret to be able to sell that package.
Like he had an unlimited studio budget, so he would be in there 14 hours.
Yeah.
So he can have 76 bars full of punchlines because over the course of that day, he just every time he thought of something, he just added it to
right in and punched in.
Exactly.
Drop a line, drop a bar, and you're not lying. You did that thing.
Yeah,
touch a piece of pad.
Right, but there's a difference to it, and I like how you explain that too.
Yeah.
There's a big difference to it. So the casual fan is just going to look at it and just be like, "Oh, well, he don't even write." But it's like, it's songwriting isn't actually putting a writing utensil in your hand and marking up a piece of paper. That's not songwriting.
Right.
You know, songwriting is actually because it deals with melodies and it deals with music
and formulating those things to make the song.
Yeah, exactly. You're putting a verbal formula onto a composition and putting it out. So
I'm glad I heard you say that, man, because I thought I was tripping. Like
it's been one of the things that Phil and I have always talked about, just because people get that misconception and they look at the MCs like yourself that say that they use a pen and a pad like you're like some like weirdo.
Like something wrong with you. like
it's like no, that's like how it should be done, you know, like
I don't gotta look so crazy now. I can use Samsung Note.
right. And one of my favorite MCs, Fabulous, like he popularized the using the phone thing before it was a thing. Like he used to use the two-way.
Right.
And then, you know, as our phones started to get more and more intelligent, that's when you saw Drake with the BlackBerry with the side scroll, and
wow.
And then everybody was like, all right, I just use my phone, and that's perfect.
I see people I'm air quoting freestyling with the BlackBerry right here, like
no fair.
And they say they don't write.
Man, that's
I'm like, you don't write and you freestyling, but you got the BlackBerry with the bars on it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just a literal thing of putting a pen in your hand. It's like that. That's like such a weird thing now, but it's refreshing. It's just like when when you actually see someone like Premier or someone like Clark Kent that's actually touching the vinyl, DJ Jazzy Jeff is actually not
actually has a record.
Right, actually has a record.
Right. Actually just to see a wax record at the show nowadays is amazing.
Exactly. And there's nothing wrong with the new technology like that. That's what's pushing things forward. But there's also no reason to frown upon what made us get to this point too. So.
And we definitely here to represent for what they want to consider the lost art, but it ain't lost.
Yo, say it again, man, because we spend so much time, like so much of this podcast and in our social media is telling people that quality hip hop music is still out there. You know, whether it's MCs like yourself or somebody like Elzai or Skyzoo or whoever, you know.
Right.
That they're out there, and people are they got so conditioned over the years of the best MCs and the best hip hop music being on the radio that now that that's not the case, they just saying, oh, it doesn't exist.
It's not all this music is whack. It's like you haven't even heard music in a long time.
Yeah, and it's like if you don't have food in your refrigerator and you say, well, food just don't exist because it ain't in the fridge like it always is. Like
the grocery store down the street closed. Oh, it's the end of the world.
You might have to, go to a different store, or you might have to grow it yourself. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
But that doesn't mean it doesn't exist anymore. So it's
You're absolutely right, man. Absolutely right about that, sir.
We the farmers market though. We bringing the produce right to them, yo. So
I brought the corporate card. No doubt. I'm shopping with you guys.
Let's get it.
One of the things that we've also noticed, and we want to get your take on this as well, is that people say that the old heads and the gatekeepers they aren't doing such a good job in terms of keeping the whackness out, and that's not the case. It seems as though to us that the dollars are being put behind the guys. Like, for example, we talk about Big and Pac, for example. Like Big in '96, he made dudes not want to rap. He made people that probably could have devoted some time to put together some bars not rap because they knew that they couldn't make anything as good as that. So they say, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. Exactly. I'm gonna go ahead and do something else, because if this guy is still rapping, there's no reason for me to even rap. Where we are now, 22 years later, is that people hear these guys that are actually getting funded, and they have these huge budgets and promotions behind them, and they say, "Oh, that's what's popping right now. Oh, I could do that, or my cat could do that. Oh, all right, I'm about to be a rapper."
We running and jumping.
Right, exactly.
Kicking and punching.
Right. So you know, there's a few guys that are responsible for that kind of becoming the case. I don't want to just say it's the younger guys, but how do you feel about that in terms of like what the public is being privy to in terms of what's being put out there from the mainstream standpoint?
That's I mean, that's the topic. That's what the music topic is today. If you're not talking about that in the music industry, then you're not current on anything that's going on. So, I mean, I think that y'all are doing exactly what you're supposed to do in a situation like that. I mean, we're not going to go run down on the studio with some bats and chains and start taking over the studio, you know.
Hold on.
What do you say? Hold on. Okay, I let them know. We're not doing that this week, man. We're not taking over any more stations.
My whole thing is, man, you gotta let the young people live. So as long as
that's exactly right, though.
As long as you're not 40 doing that, as long as you're under a certain age to where I can be like, you don't know no better, I'm all right with it.
But you already know that's not the case.
Yeah,
you already know there's a 40-year-old in the crowd. There's a 50-year-old in the crowd.
That's when I get mad when I see the guys that are trying to reinvent themselves for the 80th time, and then they be like, "All right, I'm about to just ride this wave here." It's like,
I'm gonna dye my hair purple, and I'm gonna start. I'm gonna stop chopping my words up. Like, it's like do what you do what made you good, because there's still an audience for you. You're not.
There's a huge audience for that.
Let them 18-year-old kids, let them live. Let them do what they do. That's for them. Bring your old ass back here and get in the studio with a pen and a pencil.
Yeah.
And write them bars that you can write, and get out on these tours and get the money, because you have a built-in audience.
No question.
I mean, but a lot of dudes, they in love with the lifestyle. They in love with the fame of it, and being relevant. I heard a good conversation earlier today about being relevant, and shout out to my man Matt and Chad from the realest podcast ever, and they were just talking about the like how some people, relevance, they live for it, and it affects how they approach their craft. And sometimes they leave the craft at home because they just need the relevance. So they just do whatever to be relevant.
And that's crazy, because that word, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't play with this music and this writing and this rhyming. So words have a very, very strong meaning and impact. And when you talk about relevance, that's a word that's delegated to self. Like, if you don't feel relevant, if you don't feel certain things about yourself, then you unfit to be feeling about anything else. You haven't even dealt with you. And relevant is one of those words. What is your ultimate goal, and what does relevance at the point in time that you're on the journey to that goal have to do with anything?
You brought it to the perfect point, because that was exactly my thought, in the sense that being popular doesn't necessarily equal or equate to being good, being talented, being
no question.
It just means a lot of people know your name, and they're cheering you on, but that doesn't speak to the skill level or the talent or the art of it. So relevance is relative, for lack of a better term. It's relative to how you see yourself, and how much you care about how people see you.
That and a self-reflection. Something that I throw all of that in the vanity category. Like, I get my hands get dirty, and I be at my own shows. So I'm not the guy that is, like I said, I might not go far, but my story gonna be real as it's going to take me, and it's gonna be real all the way to the end. Exactly. And that's probably why you still see me right now, is because what's relevant is the truth. If you ain't talking the truth, and the truth ain't about what you about, you will eventually be out of here. By one means or another, by one reason or another, there's a truth to everything that we're doing out here. And if you're not kind of abiding by that truth,
right,
the lie will eventually expose itself.
Exactly. It always does.
Now, we may not necessarily put Pac over big in terms of from an MC standpoint, but
yeah, a lot of people had that argument today, and I totally respected it.
Right.
It just comes from the guy where if you a jack of all trades, you're a Pac guy. If you a guy that's like, who getting torched, who did you see torching everybody? Who was afraid to really stand in the box with this guy?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we know that was Biggie.
Right.
Like, I've never known Pac to really be a battle rapper whatsoever, but he
Right.
was a heck of a talent and a songwriter. So
and the other thing about him too, just mentioning him real quick, is the fact that some of his best moments were candid moments where he was just speaking his mind and it had nothing to do with music at all.
Exactly.
And you could literally make a mixtape and you could take Pac's quotes as an intro.
Sound bites.
Sound bites just from what he said. Like
I think they did that before YouTube.
Oh yeah. Like one of my favorite Fab does the soul tapes. And one of my favorite joints that he did from the Soul Tape trilogy was over the Pain from Above the Rim. And he put the Pac quote in the front of it, where Pac was like, a lot of people, dark, light, fat, skinny, old, young, whatever he said, they have a problem looking in the mirror and finding themselves. He's like, one of the reasons why, I'm here today, and one of the reasons why I am who I am is because I'm always going to be able to look into the mirror and find myself. And what I thought is so ill about that, we're talking about relevancy and just, like that's something that's within you. So when the camera goes off and when everybody is just off of social media and just literally at home by themselves and they're looking themselves in the mirror, brushing their teeth, some people can't even they can't even look at themselves, because it's like they don't have their wig on, or they don't have
they don't even know who the hell they looking at.
Right.
like forever, they're like,
damn, who
brought you? Oh, that's me.
Right. So that's a big part of like this social media area that we are, because for all intents and purposes, we do have somewhat, like, we all have our personas that we extend. And rightfully so. Nobody wants to see you on the toilet. Nobody wants to see you hopping out the shower. Nobody wants to see you cooking up your nasty food that only you like. So there does need to be boundaries. But how do you feel about this social media era that we're in? And obviously it makes things better, but what are some of the things that people should, like, for example, like you have a song. We just talked about Danger Zone, but you got a joint called Chicken and Biscuits.
Okay.
So just listening to that title right there, automatically people may think that that's one thing. We're gonna play that, of course, and when we play this back, let people know what your idea, where you're coming from with that.
Well, Chicken and Biscuits was. It was just a simple idea. It was everybody can relate to food, so I figured I'd play with the wordplay with the food. So chicken and biscuits, and then you say it's herb dirty water, chicken and biscuits. So then when you add the full context of that whole statement together, now we talking about herb dirty water, chicken and biscuits. Now it's getting crazy because you got herb. That's popping in people's mind. Dirty water, that's popping in two different directions. Real dirty water, current today's time and the temperature and politics. And then you're talking about dirty water. Everybody drink a little bit, you know what I'm saying? Know what dirty water could be also known as. So I'm playing with the dichotomy of a dark side to some of this conversation and then the lighthearted side of the conversation. So now that I've been able to open up both of these audiences, like with this is my goal when I'm writing this, is to open up both audiences to this hook so they'll actually listen to the bars now. And the bars come from, we started from mopping floors and peeling back potatoes and busting dishes. And now we out and we spent our money all in the district. And this is what it has got us. Now, I don't know where you were spending your money at in the city, but I can go back to some of the places where I was spending my money and they treat me like somebody that was out in the city spending money with them. So it says, what were you doing basically when you said you were out promoting and becoming this star and this artist, and we find ourselves on this same plateau 10 years later with your song on the left side of a desk and my song on the right side of a desk, and you took the route you took, and we still ended up at that same desk, like with the same person staring at us with their hand on both of these songs, like, should I pick the one to the left or the right? So whose way was better? So it's my job now to just play with the way I'm describing my trip to get to where I got, from mopping floors, peeling back potatoes and busting down the dishes, to now, you know, a lot of hard work is starting to pay off, and a lot of people are starting to hear it now and see it now. And maybe that idea that somebody was whispering in my head, why don't you switch it up? Why don't you get with this person? Why don't you do this? And maybe that was never meant for me. Maybe this is my time. Maybe this is what I was supposed to be doing. So you'll hear flashes of that in some of that, you know, the content in that song right there. And once again, like I said, I try not to struggle with writing these songs because they are truly stuff that's written on my heart.
Right.
Like,
dope.
Like, do you ever find yourself where it's like if you're trying to force something, you just move on?
All day. If you forcing it, you already know what the problem is. Maybe the temperature ain't right. Maybe the mood ain't right. Maybe you need to go back and listen to yourself say this again. And if you don't believe what you're saying, maybe you stepped off of your own path for a second because you were too busy riding something else when you should have been listening to something else in that beat. So like I said, it's a process. And if you do it the way it's supposed to be done, you'll get the product that you want at the end of the day. So
talk to us about the area, man. Like, we obviously see that it's molded you, but like in terms of just the overall landscape of DC metro area, DMV,
definitely it's changed over the years.
Yeah, talk to us about that, because we always knew it to be about go-go, you know, in terms of like that being the staple that everybody can respect.
Yeah, I mean, from
never heard anybody from that area ever say anything bad about go-go ever.
Yeah, from that standpoint, go-go is his own animal. Like,
right. Even if you don't like it and you're from that area, you are it is your duty. Yeah, you still gotta
defend the lane.
You have to experience it for yourself at least once to understand what it could have been if it was something that caught on an international scale.
Okay.
But that's the thing. When you got a dance hall music and you got a soca music and a soca band, and then you got go-go music potentially about to be something that's going to branch out, we're creating a social imbalance now in the industry, like from what I've seen. So now how do you prevent the social imbalance? Is by not allowing certain people to do certain things. Is you already have a couple beasts of genres of music that are out of your control because they're not even in your reach. They're on international lands and they go by whole different rules and policies over there. But if you notice, the landscape is changing now to where the reach of this country's policies is now getting into other people's backyards and causing all kinds of issues all over the world.
That's a whole nother thing.
So, but we ain't gonna go that far yet.
Right.
So go-go music definitely was one of those things where a lot of society saw animal growing in their own backyard and they stomped it down. And as much as they stomped it down, you just made it more fierce. And you made people want to do it more. And you gave people more drive and you put more organization behind it because there were actually some people that supported it that you probably didn't even know like go-go music. And people forget go-go started from jazz. So these were real musicians at one point in time that had a respect for this art. And instead of throwing the art away, they decided that they would reach back with different bands and different members and work with them. And that's how you see the growth of that that situation now to where it's a whole new generation of go-go music, to the point where you don't know what direction go-go music is in right now, because it's all over the area. It's in all different shapes and forms. It's just not called go-go everywhere you go. But they definitely use congos now everywhere you go in bands. Oh, yeah. And they use a lot of drumming and rollatons and cowbells. And they use that slow pocket, you know, when they doing their soul singing, and Jill Scott is in towns and all the new. So do you give credit for the people who help influence this? Or do you just take it and run with it and say, oh, we love the culture and this is what we do, we share and take? You got to love it for what it is. At some point in time, you got to respect what it's going to be. And it ain't going to always give back to you and give you the credit, but it might open some doors that'll potentially help you get some money. Because now you got guys that can play backup for a John Legend show because he wants a go-go set, where you would never imagine that unless you were Chuck Brown and his official jazz band at the time. Yeah. So if you there and you out there, you see the progress. You don't get caught up with the sad stories, and you don't get sidetracked by the bad news, because bad news is on everybody's corner. And that's how the Maryland and DC area has always been. Is next week is, okay, the rent's going up. Okay, next week they're demolitioning this complex because the landlord doesn't want to fix it up. Okay, they're doing that to all the complexes now. Okay, now they're building new ones, and they're talking about we can still move back in, but the rent's $400, $500 more, and there's no voucher program for this particular location. They've changed this whole grid. Okay, so we move out to Maryland. Maryland is not giving you a home for less than $1,200 a month, 1 bedroom. Good luck with that. Efficiency, $800 a month, $900 a month, plus utilities. I mean, what people are asking you to do sometimes to survive is unreal. But we still figure out a way to survive and live. And as long as the sun gonna shine, there's always gonna be obstacles. And we always gonna have breath and ability to overcome. And that's what you see in the Maryland and DC areas. A lot of people who've overcome a lot of hard times and pulled together to take care of their families. And that's where you see family, you see strength, and you see a lot of people that don't have a problem with opening their doors to their friends and family through hard times to get through. And it's a community, and it's a lot of family around there. And there's a lot of new life in the area of PG County, and they see that family and they want to be a part of it. And they're willing to buy into it because they don't want to do it the old fashioned way. We just talked about that. Nobody's doing the hard work no more. They just move in, build a condo, and say, hey, neighbor, we're here. But don't even know where to throw the trash away at. Don't know how to do the speed limit. Don't even know how to wake up in the morning and speak when they're at the 7-Eleven. But, you know, this is the kind of world we living in. If they want it and they got the money, well, just let them shoot their shot. They still got to make that shot, though. That's where the war is right now. Is niggas is out here shooting jumpers. Get it out of here. Like, they're not having it. So,
well, speaking of shooting jumpers, hold on. Before we talk sports in the area, I
got a question too.
Yeah, I want to ask you a hip hop question, because this is it's always fascinated me about the DC area, because every, you know, of course, you know, everything started in New York, and then it branched off Philly, you know, Atlanta, you know, Houston, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
DC always baffled me. I was growing up. I'm from Philly, so I'm always waiting. All right, when's the DC? You know, is the next. You know, I mean, well, Baltimore's in there, but then DC is the next big city. You know, I was always going by the football. Football. All right. So New York, Philly, Washington's next. So what happened? You know?
Yep, that's it. Went straight to Florida. That's all.
Yeah. I always wonder. There was never the artist concentration coming out of the area, and it's not to say that the art wasn't there, because of course it was there. Because I mean, like you just mentioned, you had go-go, and was it out? And I guess I didn't really start thinking about it until I got to college. I guess like was it a situation where a lot of the people that would be traditional, what you would consider a traditional rap artists, they were into go-go and other forms of music? Is that why there was never a huge boom?
Nah, I mean the boom never popped off because it was a respect issue. We had plenty of people here. This is a music and band city. Like, you go downtown back in the 70s and 80s and catch a live show anywhere. You know, at one point in time, you could go places and do stuff. And you, like I said, jazz and blues, DC, all day. Singing, choirs, DC. Or orchestra, symphony, all day. But not no little black kids running around, jumping around on cars, screaming and banging on trash cans, man, talking about some, oh, and then it's your street, my street. You know, it's what you have a respect for. And at that time, there was a lot of people in the area that just didn't have the same respect for that style of music that they had for the one where they were raised growing up. Now, I'm going to put y'all two in a scenario. Y'all didn't grow up during the era of trap music. Hard to kind of identify with it, right?
Yeah, I would say. Yeah.
Same difference. Young people growing up in DC and Maryland, they like go-go. And the old folks couldn't stand it. But you couldn't stop them because the kids were going to be kids. And when the kids got older, they became adults. And they really started pushing that go-go. So, I mean, it's just the evolution of music. It's the same story, just a different genre, a different conflict of genre. Like, they might have been rock and roll and blues at one point in time beefing because of the transition.
I think some of it too, in terms of like the influence of the Bronx, South Bronx, and you know, like how it spread like wildfire through the Northeast, so to speak. With Philly being so close to New York, that was a no-brainer. And then, like you said, Phil, with Baltimore, DC being there still is a little bit more of a disconnect. And the guys in the area, like, they have an identity.
Yeah.
So a lot of the places where hip hop had thrived back then, they looked up to New York.
All day. Yeah. And don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Like,
but DC always had that, New York's cool, but DC is DC. Yeah. You know, like we got our own identity. We got go-go. We good. You know, like we don't really we can do without that, or we can do with it, but we got our own thing kind of going. And then as you start, like you said, as you started to get further south, that's when you know Southerners always looked as being kind of country, kind of being whatever. So they were fighting for respect as well. So what better way to do that than is to take something that as powerful as hip hop and putting your own twist on it.
That's it.
In Memphis, in Atlanta, in Miami, in in Houston, So it's like, okay, so we're not New York, but we also have our own identity as well. So we can flip this as well. I just always saw DC as just having their identity, and like Davis was saying,
they already knew who they were.
They already knew who they were, and it was like, yo,
got it.
DC or nothing. That was always the motto.
And I mean, and you classic example. You go back, and if they cover a song,
right,
never gonna sound the same because they did it with a go-go swing to it. It's just it is what it is. It's like either you accept it or you don't accept it. But that's how they were, and then being from that culture. It's hard because I might have been an MC that could rhyme to anything. But when you coming from that area and that's the stigma, then that's what you basically trying to get from under is the shadow and the stigmas of what people gonna classify you as because of where they came from, and not really looking at your resume of the places you've been and all of the different things you've acquired during your journey. Like, that's what I look at the end of the day. Is I'm from an area where I could throw a million different styles now with some go-go music and come up with something bananas if I had the right amount of time, but you don't come up with this kind of stuff unless you really have the time put in and the experience and the travel, and you took your ear to some places that the average person was afraid to go. So, I mean, it's a tough area out here when it comes to music. Like if you make it out of this area doing music, you really wanted to do it because this area is set up to let you know whether this is what you want to do or not. Because you're not gonna really get the support that it takes to what we say make you feel relevant. That's out the window out here. If you don't make yourself relevant every day in the mirror, you ain't serving no purpose out here. You struggling. You blowing in the wind.
Nice. So one of the native sons, one of the hometown heroes, Kevin Durant, someone that we've talked about ad nauseum on this show. It's because not only is he somewhat of an enigma, but he's also one of the greatest to ever do what he does. So
yeah, he is an enigma. He's still in my book. And I'm gonna tell you something. I came through PG before that man. I never met him.
Yeah.
I heard about him at the Goodman League one summer. And when he finished punishing everybody at the Goodman League, KD was the man all over. Man, you see that man shoot that joint from half court? You seen the cross over this? You seen that KD? We go down Goodman. Everybody and their mother started going back down to the Goodman League games once KD was out there firing up nets and courts. That actually was one of these family type things where he really got the support that he needed going that route. And I didn't know anything about what Goodman League was doing for guys at the time. I was a half-breed. You might see me out Baltimore at Hammerjacks one weekend or something. $15 cup in my hand, all you could drink, and just a whole array and rainbow of different people. Like I like to go places where I'm gonna spend the least amount of money and touch the most amount of people. That was my goal on the weekend. So it changes over time with age. But like with a Durant, I never met the dude. Never anything. And I know people from Capitol Heights that know this man, like they know his moms and affiliated. I keep it honest with everybody. I'm like, KD, hell of a baller. Probably stepped in the gym at Suitland a couple times. He went there for a little while. Never met him in my life.
So how did you so recently last week, of course, you know, the Warriors play the Wizards once a year. So it was heavily publicized after they won their last championship. All right, what are you guys gonna do? Like as soon as they won, they didn't even give them a chance to think about it. You know, winning the championship. Are you going to the White House? And you know, of course, they were just like, you know, no. But you know, and then Trump. Then Trump, you know, he was like, well, we don't want, you know, they don't want Stephen Curry anyway, and da. But what they did do, which I thought was great, was of course they went to the National African American Museum. Yeah, and they also had children from the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, that's what's up.
From Seat Pleasant. Just that right there, you know, the reason why I just mentioned KD because you're talking about community and stuff. That right there, that's awesome, man.
All day. Matter of fact, and I will stamp this. He keep his foot in the community. Like I don't turn on the news to find out the good works that people doing. I go right to the community sites and find out who really putting in that work. And KD, he been doing his part in PG County.
That's what's up.
We've been giving them hell a little bit over these past couple of years. But
I mean, you know, it is as being a basketball fan, you entitled to that. You know, but then at the end of the day, we gotta put down our swords and dudes, yo, they really do be under some heavy attack every time they have an opinion about something. Every time if it's about cutting a check, oh, we love you. If it's about bringing somebody some money, oh man, come on. But as soon as it's preventing somebody from getting that shine they feel,
that's when they say shut up and dribble.
Now it's a problem. Yeah, I'm like, that's gotta stop.
Right.
Like, Laura Ingraham, she already know. Davis will make a song. A couple
of we would love that.
I'll play the shit out that, Jim.
So screen ain't freeze. We're gonna make that happen.
We're gonna leave a little spot here for us to play Boys to Men as well. Just give us just a brief overview of what our listener needs to think about as we play this track next.
Man, that track self-explanatory. Just a young man looking back and giving you a full spill of the transition from a lot of different perspectives. And that, like I said, I'm gonna try to keep this style for as long as people allow me to rhyme like this. Is I'm never going to directly come from one standpoint on a whole song. I really don't think people had an attention span for that right now. And while they still trying to get familiar with who I am, I'm going to just try to keep touching on different groups and making like power statements and let the visual images do more of the speaking than anything else. So, like I said, when you play Boys to Men, you'll hear it. It's chopped up just enough for you to digest it, but it's heavy. You're gonna be able to you'll be able to sleep with that one for a couple days on your stomach. So,
all right, there you go. Phil, what else did you have, man?
That man, well, we kind of touched on sports talking about KD, but so word on the street, you're a fan of the Washington Wizards. Oh, I'm not going to that other place. I ain't even.
It's all good. That. Look, man, Jerry Jones ain't got no stock in y'all show. You good? I understand.
No, he's one of the names that shouldn't be mentioned on this show. No, man.
Look, I was about to say go Subway, but I think their contract got canceled last week.
Yeah.
Yo,
hey, vibe, man. We got So we bring so many people in this show. There's a high percentage of cowboy fandom in
it's like 1 in 3.
Yeah, man. Shout out to my little big homie King Champs, man. Another one of the cowboy fans, man. I don't understand y'all, but it is what it is. I wanted to talk about the Wizards though. I wanted to talk about the Wizards because I mean, it seems like what they doing right now. It's funny because this reminds me of Vibe when Vibe's a Chiefs fan. It reminds me of when your man Jamal Charles when he got hurt, and I was like, they're a better team without him.
As soon as he got better.
And he got better, and he was still a phenomenal talent, but the chemistry wasn't there anymore, and they ended up getting rid of him. So I'm transitioning that to now John Wall. He's been going, and the Wizards have been on a roll, and they passing the ball more. They playing better team defense. They don't have the same flair that they had when John Wall was there, but overall they're winning. And so my question to you is, and we touched about this a little bit before the show, when he comes back, what do you think is going to happen?
Now that's the $1 million question, because that's going to be whether they keep him or not, is what happens when he comes back.
So you think they might trade him?
I'm telling you right now, if his return impacts their winning and their chemistry, oh, you best believe it. The temperature in the NBA right now is we're not having it. Like, not once the people are against you, it's a wrap. So right now, the people started that conversation. That's something that people are going to decide to do on their own.
So you're Davis. You're the GM of the Washington Wizards.
Okay.
John Wall's coming back. The chemistry is not there, and you're seeing the writing on the wall that you could trade him. Who do you think you can get back, or who would you want to get back for John Wall?
That's crazy, because everybody that I would think of trying to trade him for, they don't want to leave their situation to go to no Washington Wizards.
Okay, so here's one that actually could happen. Klay Thompson is a free agent next summer, 2019. By then, he'll probably be a 3-time champion. He's done all that he probably could do at Golden State at this point. He's he's 28, heading into he's still in his prime, but heading into his 30s eventually. If I could give you a package that included Klay Thompson, and I'm trying to think who else on that team would be young enough.
I had to give him picks.
Yeah, picks, but then also maybe Klay Thompson and let's just say a guy like Nick Young just returning there just for all all intents and purposes. That doesn't make the Wizards any better.
Nah.
You know,
I mean, I mean, like I said, it doesn't even look like a lucrative move. Like
Wall is a guy that he just has something about him.
Yeah.
He has something that KD doesn't have, and that's charisma. He's a leader. He's a guy that is comfortable in his own skin. He's gonna ride with whatever he's feeling.
Right.
So we see him throwing up his gang signs. That's Raleigh, North Carolina, and he's unapologetic about it. You see him pulling up to the game with the Wraith and with the Butler with the lint brush. That's something that he's been dreaming about doing since he was 12 years old. Like that's just him. So it's just
I'm not mad at him either.
That's what I'm saying. That's the other side of the game because Bradley Beal can't do that.
He can't.
No matter how much he don't have that kind of flair.
But that's what I'm saying. And no matter how much his check looks just like John Wall's or as close to John Wall's, that's just not him. And in order for you to get over the top, you have to have a guy like that. That's just like, yo, I don't care what anybody says. I'm me.
Let me give you a scenario. Tell me what y'all think. You flip flop, and you'll probably have to throw some other players in there to make it work exactly. But Dame Lillard and John Wall, you send John Wall to Portland.
Oh yeah,
you take Dame Lillard.
We done. Damian Lillard, he could take hey Slim. He could take Washington by himself right now. with one less big man. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, he's about to take Portland as far as they can go. Him and McCullough.
So the Wizards haven't won 50 games in 40 years. Wow. Literally in 40 years. 1978 was the last time that they won 50
I know you knew something about that. So
my whole thing with that is Dame Lillard is going to win 50 games in the West. So
which was hella impossible just on paper at the beginning of the season.
Exactly.
They just beat Golden State, as a matter of fact, as we talk about it.
I'm telling you, they backcourt with McCullough is retarded. Yeah. Moving on,
But DC, like Wall, just he fits though. He just fits, man.
He does, man. And I really truly think that even when he comes back, it's gonna take him a little while. But I think that the type of John Wall that's gonna come back to the team is gonna be a little smarter. He already know he can outrun people and out jump people, and it's okay to out physically play people all day, but you could be a little smarter too, and that'll save you a lot of trouble. And I hope that his new team and new vitalized offense and more defense is going to allow him to see that. You just play your part.
So let me ask you this. So we're talking about hip hop, we're talking about sports. If you had to liken your pen game to a current NBA player, or your style in terms of how you approach emceeing, who would it be?
My pen game?
Like in terms of like how you approach.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of who's the craziest baller right now without being over like.
Well, there's one that comes to mind. Someone that Phil and I both enjoy watching. He's out of his mind.
I'm gonna say this. I would have to say I feel like Russell Westbrook sometimes when
here it is.
I mean, I didn't want to say his name because all-star conversations and everybody and their mother gonna be like, "Who? David said what?" Yeah, I said it. Russell Westbrook.
Okay, so that his approach to the game is just relentless, and like you said, you try to put different styles into how you do it. He mixes like I've never seen a guy mix athleticism.
He's an alien,
You have
with fearlessness.
People are scared to say it, but you have. His name is Michael Jordan.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
he physically mimics the actual movements of Jordan. Like physically can mimic.
He's about 3 inches shorter, so it looks
but
crazy.
he got a different motor than even Mike had. Like Mike was a little more graceful.
Mike will pick his spots too.
He's almost like a freight train, but not in a freight train body. It's like he's an alien, man. Like I don't even know how to. like that's alien DNA. Like what he does though. Like,
damn.
Boy don't even be tired.
Nah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, like
you don't get tired. He
Kevin Gates with his so.
So that same type of relentlessness. That's what you approach
all day.
I like to hear that.
Yeah, I got a question for you, and I think I know the answer, but I want to ask it anyway. So, major label XYZ comes to you and say, "Hey, Davis, we're going to give you X amount of dollars to do this project, but you're gonna be on the label. You're gonna have to go through these, that traditional label." There it is.
Yeah, look, when you said but, I was no thanks, I'm good.
yeah, like if they came with that 360 deal, but it came with the nice advance.
Yeah, like I'm gonna say that I'm willing to stay out here and do the podcast thing and the individual show booking for as long as it takes to show the people who I am. Because I think that's all it takes at the end of the day. If you really are who you say you are, and you do what you really say you do, and you show up for the show, you can't ask for no more than that. So I'll leave it at that. It's people out here that did everything up to showing up for the show and ain't show up. It's people that didn't make it to the interview for the show. They ain't show up. And then you got people that showed up and wasn't ready. So I go to sleep knowing that that's my preparation and meal plan. I'm eating that. Those are my facts. That's been proven to be fact. Radio hosts ain't on the radio because they ain't practice. Dudes ain't in the NBA because they ain't practice. Why I think I'm gonna be successful doing this on stage if I ain't practice? So best believe while everybody laughing in the corner in the club or whatever on a Friday night, I'm gonna be practicing. And when the lights come on and it's my night at the club and my night just happened to be bigger than everybody else's, that's what I worked for. And I'm gonna appreciate that.
Right.
So
in these days, really all it takes sometimes is for somebody to just be like, "Hey, by the way, do you have bars? Do you got bars on deck?" You know what I'm saying? Like that's
no, for real.
Like seriously, like and then like, yeah, I actually do, and they be like, "No, you don't." Like, no, I do.
Wow.
Like someone's life could literally change like that.
Like one of our favorite dudes. Shout out to King Crooked, man. He's been on tour in every city he goes to, wherever he is. He says, "Yo, whoever's nice in the town, come holler at me. I'm gonna be at XYZ club or arena, whatever." And he brings them out. He's like, if it's dope, he puts it on his page out to his tens of thousands of followers. So I mean, all in all the connections that guy has. I mean, he's connected to Shady and whatever. And you may not want to sign with him, but it might get you in a position to do your own thing. True. So that's what I'm saying. So you always being ready that's the key to anything. I mean, anything in life. The key is to always be ready. So, yeah, man. So like my brother said, man, sometimes it's just a matter of having the bars on deck.
Yeah,
do that.
With that being said, I want to go ahead and DJ Rick G's is one of our close friends. He's actually a member of our kind of group that we have in terms of our think tank.
Cool.
We have a mixtape series going on. We would love to include some of your material on there, man. I hate to put you on the spot.
Oh, nah, you good, man. Okay. All right, good. This is what we here for.
Okay,
man. Respect Heat Holders Volume 6 will be coming out soon. And we got some other gems that's coming, man. As far as making sure music gets out to the people.
Exactly. We've had here lately. We've had a lot. Our inbox has been pretty full.
We got Y'all would and I wanna publicly give a shout out to Jamil Honesty, man, because he's been sending us some fire and we are definitely going to get him on the show. So I definitely wanted to give him a shout out real quick.
Yeah.
So hopefully you listening. Of course you are.
Yeah.
And who's not listening? Like for real. But
Davis, before we get out of here, man, we want to make sure that the people know exactly how to, just get in touch with you online, what they need to be looking out for, all that good stuff. Let them know.
All right, you can get in contact with me at Mike. It's Mike Davis on Facebook. I'm on Yes Just Davis on IG, and all of my links and my Twitter accounts and stuff are linked to the IG and the Facebook. So you should be able to maneuver from those two pages. You can also get in contact with my public relations agent, Madison Davenport, and that's under Madison Davenport Inc. on Facebook. And then the only other thing is I miss a guy, Zach. Shout out to Zach. That's the producer for Danger Zone. He's at SlimCat78 on IG. And then my other producer, the executive producer, Phil Henry, he's under SP Methods on Instagram. So
yeah. So we got these joints that we've played throughout this show here. Is there an overall project that we should be looking out for?
Oh yeah. I'm pretty much gonna stamp it soon. I think in about a week I'm gonna stamp the title. It's gonna be Lifelines. I'm gonna go ahead and release it with y'all early.
Nice.
All right, so Lifelines is gonna be the title of the album. Like I said, my executive producer is gonna be Phil Henry, SP Methods. It's gonna be some co-production on the album done by Zach, SlimCat78. I got a couple other producers tentatively under the curtain right now. I don't know if I want to break them out on this particular project, so I reserve their names until I find out what's officially gonna be on there. But I mean, that's the album. Looking for 12 plus tracks. It's gonna be something about maybe 14, 15 tracks, and give you a good introduction of where I'm coming from. And like I said, hopefully it's right up the alley of what it's talking about, lifelines and the many different descriptions and parallels of a lifeline. So
there it is. Philmatic. Anything else before we get out of here?
The Cowboys, though.
I got right with the past, man. For that, man. I'm trying to tell you, we gonna really. I'm gonna take you out of my people's house one Thanksgiving so you can see how viciously I get blasted on this couch, man. And don't let Uncle come over drunk because it's gonna be crazy. Like my father be ready to fight.
Hey, I feel your pain, man. I'm from Philadelphia and I am not an Eagles fan, so I feel your pain. So
come on, who's his team?
the San Francisco 49ers, man.
Oh, hey, all right, look, hey. All jokes aside, man, I'm going to shake your hand when we meet because the 49ers, young, anybody that's still a 49ers fan is a true soldier out here, bro.
Yeah, I'm a warrior, yo.
I'm glad you made it. And I hope that little dude, little Garoppolo, I hope he turned out to be
on the grease. I love it. I love it, Daddy.
What is it? They got Triple G in boxing. Y'all got little Jimmy G.
Hey, man, don't talk about Jimmy Polo, man. We gonna get us back to the promised land one day soon, hopefully.
Hey, they got them prospect like number 1, number 2 quarterback coming into the league. Finished out 7-0 last season.
We'll see, man. I'll worry about that when it happens. But until then, man, now you know we definitely this is gonna be a permanent thing, man. You're official tissue. You're part of the circle.
Oh man,
he hold this, man.
Blessings, man. I appreciate that, fellas.
Yeah, man. We had a great time talking with you, man. It's great building with like-minded individuals and
all day
and people that actually MC, man. This is what we do, man. So stop telling us that MCing doesn't exist, that is no good music out there. We giving it to y'all. So you hear it when you download this episode, share it with your friends, and then go tell them, go check out my man. Yes, Just Davis on IG. I just followed you on with all our social medias.
My man.
Yo, so we gonna definitely stay up with you. And man, just thank you again, man.
Let them know.
Shout out to Davenport.
Most definitely, man.
Yeah.
Stay busy.
All right, now we'll holler at you.
All right, now.
Yeah.